Hi everyone, welcome back to Iron Wheels Gaming. I'm Iron Wheels, and today I want to talk to you guys about a little game called Hogwarts Legacy. It's a brand new single-player action RPG being developed by Avalanche Software, set in the Wizarding World universe of Hogwarts around the late 1800s. Now, I've seen a lot of people on YouTube talking about the developer Avalanche Software and getting them confused with Avalanche Studios. Now, Avalanche Software, the company that is developing this game, has been known for making games like Disney Infinity and Tak and the Power of Juju. They've made a lot of Disney games, a lot of other known IPs that are already established, whereas Avalanche Studio is known for action first-person shooters like Rage and Rage 2. They are not making this game. Avalanche Software is. And this looks to be their first RPG, so it'll be interesting to see how their first foray into the genre goes. Now they have a website up and about a 4 minute reveal trailer that came out about a month or so ago. So we don't really know a whole lot. The website says that the game takes place in the late 1800s at Hogwarts and says that you are a student at Hogwarts who got a late acceptance letter. Now, there's no description of what they mean by late acceptance. The rumor kind of going around is that you're a fifth year student, but that's unconfirmed. The website says that you will have the unique ability to understand and to control what they're calling ancient magic. There's no description on what ancient magic is, but it says that you will have the choice to either keep the secret safe for all of wizard kind or to use this power for more nefarious purposes. So I'm really looking forward to it. I've been a Harry Potter fan for over 20 years. I've read all the books. I've seen all the movies. I would say I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I wouldn't say I'm like the super fan. I don't know everything about Harry Potter, but I'm definitely looking forward to this. Now, one of the things that they showed in the trailer and sort of hinted about talking about later on is the sorting. And I would love to see some sort of either a quiz like you would get on the official Wizarding World website or some sort of prologue that introduces you to some of the game mechanics and then also throws in some choice in there, some gameplay choice and some dialogue choice, and depending on what you choose and how you act, it might suggest a Hogwarts house for you. And I think there's also room for letting players choose which house they want to be in. The books and the movies set that precedent by, if you remember, if you've seen or read the books, when the Sorting Hat is mulling over its choice for Harry Potter, it says, you would be really good in Slytherin, and Harry is sitting there thinking to himself, not Slytherin, not Slytherin, and the hat goes, oh, not Slytherin, eh? Better be Gryffindor. And so I think it would work perfectly well within the fiction, within the lore, to have the game suggest a house for each player, and then if the player disagrees with that, to just be able to say, no, I want to be sorted into this house, and have them go from there. Um, the game kind of hints at being able to explore Hogwarts, which isn't a brand new thing. There have been other Harry Potter games before that have let you explore the grounds and the castle, but this is, next gen technology, and maybe not even next gen because it is coming out on current gen platforms as well. That's PlayStation 4, Xbox One, but also for the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox One. I'm sorry, Xbox Series X. So it won't be super, new graphics because they've got to still build it for the current generation. But I am excited. It's been a long time, as far as I know, since a game has let you explore Hogwarts Castle, so that will be neat. Also, being set in the 1800s, the late 1800s, I would imagine there's some differences in the castle, maybe not very many, but I think it gives them some creative leeway to do some different things that maybe we haven't seen before in the movies, so that'll be interesting. Um, I hope one of my big hopes. I have two big things that I'm really looking forward to and hoping they have in this game. One is some sort of system where you actually participate in the classes. Um, there are two games that come to mind for me for systems that might work. There's Persona, which has you going to class and answering questions in each of those classes and getting, boost to your knowledge scale and things like that, and then having to take exams every couple in-game months, and depending on your success on the exams, you get, a bonus. They do that with a lot of other skills too in the game, but obviously the schooling one is what comes to mind. And then there's also a game called Bully that came out in 2006, where you actually went to classes and had to participate in mini games. There was like a word search kind of thing for the English class and like some sort of physical mini game of like dodgeball or something. I don't remember for your PE class. And then if you passed the class, got an A or whatever it was, you got skills from that class that your character could then use outside of class in the missions and in the free roaming sections. So I would love to see either one or two of those systems used or some sort of amalgamation of the two of them. Personally, I think I'd prefer to see a more persona uh, approach taken where I like the idea of having to answer questions in class or having to somehow. I know the mobile game Hogwarts Mystery has you tracing wand motions. I'm not sure how easy that would be on a controller, but just something to test your knowledge. And I like the idea of testing the player's knowledge to see not only what they might know from the Harry Potter universe, but I like the idea of maybe giving them the information and then asking them questions about it to see if the player or quote unquote character is paying attention, and then maybe giving them bonuses to that class in for doing well, or not giving them anything for doing poorly. I know looking at the website, it has little phrases going across on the website saying, the master potioneer or the wizard who tamed animals. So clearly there are skills that you can level up and expand on. I don't know if that's just through normal gameplay or whether you have to get those through the classes. But I love the idea of sort of having your character, your student, specialize in different classes and just becoming um, really good in one subject like potions or herbology or defense against the dark arts. I know a lot of players like to try to be good at everything, but I really like the idea of um, no, I don't want to say like I don't want to say pigeonholing, but just becoming an expert in one or two subjects and sort of lacking in some other ones. I think almost like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing. I think being bad at certain subjects, or at least being not as good, really creates character and kind of helps them feel unique. I know they've also mentioned the game will have companions, so I think that's another good reason to have characters that specialize in different things. That way you can bring on characters, companions that maybe have strengths where your character is weak and kind of shore up so that when you go out of the school, because they haven't said that you'll be going to places outside of Hogwarts, so when you go on adventures either in the castle or outside of the school, you can sort of have a well-rounded party and you bring your companions along that kind of shore up where your character might not be so good. I also heard rumors, don't know if this is official, that they're gonna have some sort of relationship system. The rumors saying a nemesis system, which for those who don't know, comes from the Shadow of Mordor video games. They were games based on the Lord of the Rings series of books and movies, and what that did was every time you fought an enemy, especially a boss type enemy, sometimes you would defeat them and you would think they were dead, and then they would come back, you'd meet them later, find out they're not dead, and that they would remember your character and remember how you tried to kill them, and then they might have a resistance to that type of attack. So let's say you were fighting an orc leader and you threw him into a fire, set him on fire, thought he was dead, and then you meet him later and he's got kind of like a burn mark on his face, and he kind of recognizes you, and now he has a resistance to fire damage because he was able to survive, being being burned alive. So I like that idea of sort of maybe you defeat a character in a duel or something, and then they remember you, and maybe that becomes like a rival of yours because you've defeated them in a duel, or maybe even Quidditch. But I would also like to see that system expand to positive things, expand that to friendships, or if you help a student out in class, or get them out of trouble, or something like, or just support them, maybe there are times when students are having issues and you just help them out. Hufflepuff here, by the way, so I'm always about helping people out when they're down. But I would love to see that to where maybe you make friends too by doing positive interactions with them. And so I would love to see, people having unique experiences as far as, oh, I made friends with this character and not this character. I was rivals with this character while my buddy was friends with that character. To continue on that train of thought, I also like the idea of depending on which house you are in. I like the idea of having one or two like pre-written characters. Because the Nemesis system, the way I'm thinking, is kind of like they're almost procedurally generated, meaning they have basic characteristics that the game can kind of randomly assign. So you might have like randomly generated students that have certain characteristics, and so they may get along with you if you match their characteristics, or dislike you if your characteristics clash, or as I said before, depending on how you interact with them. But I would like to see one or two students that are like pre-written sort of companions, but that they're different for each house. Because if you think back to the Harry Potter, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, they would not have been as good of friends had they not all been in Gryffindor together. They spent a lot of time together, and so while they knew students from other houses, they wouldn't have. I don't think they would have been as good of friends because they didn't spend as much time with them. So I would love to see characters that are narratively written into the game, but that you might have a different understanding of, a different relationship with, because you are in the same house that they are. So even though you across the game, players will know of those characters, these couple characters, your relationships will be different with them, not only for your character's personality, but also just if you're in the same house as they are or not. So that's interesting. Um, Unfortunately, gameplay, as I've discussed before, is not my forte. As I've said earlier, they've already announced this is an action role-playing game, so that automatically kind of rules me out of being able to play this myself. But I will definitely watch someone play it, or I'll probably watch multiple people play it. But I would love to see, like, maybe with this video or with future videos, we can have discussions on how do we make games more accessible. I know for my personal preference and my personal ability, I tend to prefer turn-based things if there's combat, or I tend to just prefer things that are just straight up narratives. So things that you don't have to worry about combat on. To some people that might sound boring, but that makes it accessible to me. So I tend to enjoy narrative-driven stuff, which is why when I do create characters in role-playing games, whether it's to play them myself or to sit with someone else to have them play it for me, I always tend to gravitate towards the charisma-based characters because talking usually doesn't involve any sort of fast input or anything like that. So I always like the ability when games give you the ability to talk your way out of situations. So I would maybe like to have a discussion on, is there a way we can create a Harry Potter game that could be accessible, that could be more narrative driven. This will definitely be a narrative driven game, I think. But those action elements to the gameplay, well, I think they fit. And I think they're a good idea because everyone wants to throw spells around and, you know, expelliarmus the wands in the enemy's hands and knock them over with flipendo. And I think you kind of, it works, probably does work best in an action based system. That excludes me, but I'm super excited about this regardless. Um, the only information we have on a release date is the release year, which is 2021. I'm going to assume it's going to be late 2021. I'm hoping, obviously, it'll be earlier, but I'm assuming it'll be late 2021, probably November. And I wouldn't be surprised if this got pushed back with everything that's going on. And to be honest, release dates, initial ones when they're first announced, don't usually stick anyway. Which is probably why they just announced a year and not a day, because it's still probably fluid for them anyway. But I wouldn't be surprised if this game got pushed back to 2022. But also, I have some other games that I want to do videos on. I have a game that I'm playing right now that when I finish, I will definitely do a video on. I have a game I played recently that I'm going to do a video on. So there's plenty of content to come. So stick around. Thanks for joining the Gaming Garage, and I will see you guys next time.